What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fiction and Flow. It is March, which means it is Women's History Month, and today I want to focus on a few comics that spotlight strong women. So I want to kind of kick it off right away with who I'm rocking on the shirt, which is Peggy Carter, also known as Captain Carter, which kind of had a big explosion from the Disney Plus What If series. Now, fun fact, Captain Carter actually came out several years ago in a couple of one-shots. She appeared in this book called The Exiles. And what The Exiles were a bunch of people from different universes hopping through different multiverses to try to fix a big problem that was causing all parts of multiverses to crash or explode or not exist anymore. So this person, this overseer who remained unidentified, picked several people from different timelines and put them together in a group to kind of solve these multiversal issues. And when people do enough of their work, they kind of would be able to get released back because their world was saved. So that one member would leave and then a new member would come on. There was one person who kind of stayed with the group the whole time as a character that I'm going to talk about a little bit later on in the future video. A character named Blink. She's an X-Man and she has the ability to make portals through time or through just the regular universe that she's in. So I'll get a video on that coming up pretty soon. But kicking it off is Captain Carter. So check out the first book. This one is a limited run series that just started last week actually, called Captain Carter. And so it's a 5-issue limited series talking about her exploits and what she's been doing. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what happens next. This is a variant cover issue. So there were several different ones, and unfortunately, I was not able to get the one I really want, which was a cover from the What If series. It was an animation still from the show. But that one is like a hard to find one right now. It's a 1 in 25 variant, which means a comic shop has to order 25 regular covers just to get one of those variant covers. So because of that and the high demand, it was not available when I made my first order to get it. But I'm still gonna look out for it. All right, this next book is a indie book, and it's one that's really original, and the concept is pretty good too. It's by the author Joe Hill. You may have heard that name before. He's had a couple of books out now and has a pretty huge successful following. He's made a book called Lock and Key, which has a show on Netflix right now. He had another one called 8 Heads in a Basket, which came out like last year, and I really enjoyed that on a horror twist tale. But most importantly, Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King. So he is really good at writing these comic books, and he's taken over and kind of mixing a little bit of horror with a little bit of reality. So this book that I just picked up is called Rain. I know the cover may be really misleading, but I kind of want to get you to understand the premise. So it's about this young lady. She's in a homosexual relationship with another young lady, and everything is going fine. This girl's going to move in with her. They're going to get married, and they live in Colorado. They talk about, just what's going on in their daily lives, nothing too important. The story's told from the perspective of the main character, which is named as Honeysuckle. And she's kind of giving it in like a narrative diary style. And she talks about coming across a couple of neighbors. Like, there's a guy fixing something on the roof. And he's like, she talks about him and said, oh, he was the first to die. Then one of her other neighbors is out sunbathing, like she was the second one to die. I'm just like, what's going on? So apparently these rain clouds come in that look unusual. And they're like a really dark gray that's not normal. And so the big climax happens when Honeysuckle's girlfriend is coming to move in. She has all her stuff packed in the car and she's getting ready to unload it. And Honeysuckle says, well, let me help you with it. And she goes out and all of a sudden she feels this tink like in her arm. Like, ow, what was that? And she looks and she pulls out a shard of like glass or crystal. They don't really describe what it is, but it's a shard that has kind of hit in her arm. It's like, where did that come from? So this particular rain cloud is raining down these shards. So the neighbor that was on his house fixing the roof, he just got bombarded. The other neighbor who was sunbathing, she like ran under her chair, but it was a lawn chair, so the shard just went through that and kind of got her. But the worst was obviously what happened to her future fiance or future wife, is that she was just out caught in it. And so you can only imagine, and it gets pretty graphic. Definitely not for kids, but that was only issue 1, and I'm just really curious to see where this story goes after this. But if you're looking for something different, off the beaten path, you should definitely pick up Rain. Next book, a fan favorite that we kind of all know and love, one of the most boss women I know out there, also a member of the X-Men, of course, is Storm. I mean, you cannot talk about the X-Men without mentioning Storm, you know, with power to control the weather, and she's been spotlighted several times throughout the X-Men history. And this one particular book talks about what's going on with the X-Men currently. Right now, the X-Men have kind of become super big. They are on this mutant island called Krakoa. And what's happening on Krakoa is that it's a living island, but they're allowed to like keep all the mutants there. They keep them safe. They kind of basically declared sovereignty away from everybody else. But they're willing to help and do things because they can make special chemicals, medicine, and things to help out. And they're selling them to people because they kind of make advancements. But they were like, you know what? We need to expand. We've done a lot on Earth. Where else can we go next? So they decide to go to Mars. And they use Storm, Magneto, and several other mutants who have like planetary type powers, and they terraform Mars and make this their second home. And Storm is the leader of the X-Men on Mars. So she kind of has dual duty to going back and forth, but I love where they're taking her and just truly making her a boss right now, just doing everything that she's always been destined to do, just kind of run the show. So if you are curious about more about what's going on with Storm and Mars, there's a new book coming out pretty soon called X-Men Red. I'll suggest you pre-order that now at your local comic book shop. This one is a bit of a treat. One of my favorite artists is Greg Hwan. I've mentioned him before in a couple of videos. He does some really realistic lifelike paintings for his covers, and he did illustrate a couple of books all the way through, in particularly the Elektra series. But this particular cover I got at C2E2 last year, which is a comic book convention here in Chicago. It's about this alternate version of a Batman, and he's called the Batman Who Laughs. So it's basically Batman who was infected with the Joker virus and totally became evil. So he has all the cunning of Batman, all the detective work, all the combat skills, but with Joker's mind, intelligence, and also psychology. You know, so it's kind of really interesting to see the blending. So he started Jokerizing other people in the universe. And this is a version of this cover is Harley Quinn, and he basically Jokerized her. She's already crazy, but it just made her even more crazy. And this was an exclusive cover I got at C2E2. It's called a version cover because it has no title or the barcode or anything. It's just the artist's rendering of the cover before they put all the things on it. And this is, I'm warning you, it's pretty scary. This is Harley Quinn, the Harley Quinn Who Laughs. Check that out. So you can find this on Greg Horn's website, but it is pretty hard to find. Right now, I know there's posters that still exist, but the actual comic book is probably still hard to get. Okay, moving along is another character that I really like a lot, and I've always liked it when I've seen her debut, is Bruce Banner's cousin, She-Hulk. She is also getting a Disney Plus series pretty soon. It'll be great to see her introduced into the MCU. And she's a little different from Hulk because when she got her blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, instead of kind of like losing her intelligence and kind of just getting really big, she was allowed to keep her intelligence. She actually became more confident than what she really was. And she also kind of grew up stature and the body a little build, and she's just as strong. Well, not as strong, but she's at a high level too. So this is She-Hulk 2. They just restarted the series, and she's a lawyer, so she's still defending people, but she defends superheroes. Because as you know, when they fight, they have all this damage to the city and environment. And of course, somebody's like, oh, they gotta pay for this. How are they gonna pay? So she is the person who defends the superheroes and tries to help settle cases so that they don't have to massively pay for everything or, you know, do some kind of service in order to protect what they've done, because they've saved people or saved the city possibly, but they've made all this damage. This is the cover of issue 2 in her business suit, and I really like this one. Alright, so She-Hulk is doing her thing out there being a lawyer as well as a superheroine. Alright, fighting crime and fighting the court system, the legal battle. This next character is a little unknown character in the DC universe that she's just been studying for a long time. And this character is Nubia. So Wonder Woman has a sister, believe it or not. So her sister is an African-American woman named Nubia. She was created not that long after Wonder Woman. As Wonder Woman left Themyscira, she was on this mission to kind of find out how the world of men survived and lived. And so that position on Thesmera was left vacant. So Wonder Woman's sister, Nubia, was created, and she was kind of the person that kind of stayed on the island and kind of took over that role. So there's a new book called Trial of the Amazons that just popped off because Queen Hippolyta has gone away and someone else has to take over. So it calls everybody back to the island to kind of get into this huge competition of who is going to be the new queen of the island. And Nubia is one who is one of the strongest contenders. And this is issue number 2 of Nubia and the Amazons. And I love this cover. It's really detailed, and for me it just shows like the strength of her power, her beauty, her intelligence. And I like how the artist, and I don't know if this was the artist's intention, she kind of looks like Angela Bassett, and I can see a strong woman like that representing Nubia in the comics. So I hope they get some idea of this if they decide to make a movie or an animated show. I would love Angela Bassett to do the voice in an animated feature, and then find someone who could be the actress to play the character if they decide to make this into a feature film. Okay, another recent book that has come out is Strange. Now I know with the Multiverse of Madness, everyone is on this Doctor Strange kick, and in the comics they've done something that's kind of like almost unprecedented. They've killed Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange is dead. Like, it's not a fake, it's not a hoax. He is actually dead. He was murdered, and they had a case trying to figure out who killed him. But because he was murdered, the world was left without a Sorcerer Supreme. Therefore, all the dark energies and people started flooding Earth, trying to take over and destroy it. So they needed someone to kind of help keep things at bay because that spot was vacant. So I know a lot of you didn't know this, but Doctor Strange is actually married. Yes, he has a wife from the dark dimension, the same one that has where Dormammu came from. He has a wife, and her name is Clea. And she has been here and there every now and again, but for a while she was trapped in the dark dimension and couldn't come back to Earth. But with his death, and once again the barriers kind of going down, she was able to come back. And who else to take over as the new Sorcerer Supreme but Clea, and that's who stepped in the role. And so this is Strange number 1 with Clea as the Sorcerer Supreme. This is a cover by an artist called J. Scott Campbell. I really like his work, and I love this idea of having a woman in the lead role of the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, she does say that she wants Strange to come back, and she's looking for a way to bring him back, but until then, she is taking over, and Hwan is assisting her, and everyone else trying to help see if they can find a way to bring Stephen Strange back. Definitely check this out if you want to know what's going on with Doctor Strange after his death and what's going to happen with the Sorcerer Supreme position on the Earth. We have come to the last book for this video in the series. Now, this is a book that I promised you all a couple of videos before when I talked about some of my favorite villains. And this is a book about a character known as the Joker's daughter. Now, the Joker did not actually biologically have a child. So we're all thankful for that, because that would be too crazy. But there is a young lady, and she's actually the daughter of Batman villain Two-Face. Her name is Dula Dent, and she has been around for a couple of years in the comic books, things like here and there, but didn't become that popular until not too long ago. So a couple of years ago, DC did this whole run of villains on the cover of all their books, and it was called Villains Month. And they did some special 3D covers. Now, this image, I warn you, it is pretty terrifying. So you may want to put the kids away for this one. But Joker's daughter, well, how it kind of came about. In this particular run, the Joker had been captured. He had been put back in Arkham Asylum. But he actually started working with this guy who kind of was like a plastic surgeon, like a crazy super villain who he would do all these augmentations with people. That's kind of how he left his call mark. He would cut up the bodies and kind of change them all kind of ways and do plastic surgery on his victims. So he kind of worked with him because Joker was planning to escape, as he always does. And Joker actually had this doctor cut off his face. So he did this, and when he broke out, he actually took his face and then broke into the Gotham Police Department and left this package as like an anonymous package. And when they opened it, they saw his face, and they were like shocked, like, how did this happen? Is this real? And it was there in the evidence case for a long time. And then somehow it got out. and people were looking for it. I think the person who stole it was running away, and they dropped it, and it landed into a sewer vent, and it fell through the sewer. And Dula Dent was actually in the sewer. That's where she had been in hiding, and she saw that as a sign, like who she needs to be and how she needs to come back to Gotham. And so she took his face and reattached it over her own. And so she wears his face as being the Joker's daughter. And here is this 3D cover. And I hope the 3D part comes through really well in this video. Once again, warning, it is pretty terrifying. So this is, once again, the Joker's daughter, which is Dula Dent, and she has his face over her face. And I hope this 3D thing is really showing really well for you all. So it's a good book. This is a really hard one to find right now because the value of this went up. It was a one shot. It wasn't a more in the series. It was just a single issue, but her character like this continued in the Batman books. It's, like I said, a couple of years old. If you can find it, good luck. It's probably going to be pretty pricey right about now. And those are just some of my books featuring strong female leads for Women's History Month. If you would like to know more, be on the lookout for a live stream toward the end of the month where I'll go over all of my books featuring strong female leads, and I'll talk about them in a little bit more detail. All right, until next time, don't forget to like, hit that notification bell, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about some of these covers and which ones would you like to see me talk about even more toward the end of the month on the live stream. Let me know. All right, now I'll catch you all next time. Peace. What's up? We are talking about fiction in flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly missing out. Fiction in flow. What's up? We are talking about fiction in flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly missing out. Fiction in flow. What's up?